So let's start talking about things that I do not like about this motorcycle. Number one, I don't like the price. These bikes are expensive when you buy them new. But with the way everything is going right now in the United States, every motorcycle is expensive. My goodness, I'm seeing on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, 2006 KTM 350s, for example, that have, 10,000 miles on them, 300-400 hours. And they're still selling them for $6,000, $6,500, $7,000. I saw one the other day that was $5,000. That was about the lowest one I saw. That's crazy. But aside from all that, these betas were expensive even before the pandemic, and they get more expensive every year. Now, I know that that's the trend in dual sports these days. The new Honda CRF 450L is not that much cheaper than a beta. Used bikes right now are selling for a lot, but I don't like the price. I paid, of course, you got a apples to oranges type of thing. But in 2003, a long time ago, I bought a brand new 2003 KLR 650. And I paid $5,200 for it, brand new. I can buy a brand new 2022 KLR 650 right now, if I can find one, which I probably could, for about $7,000. This beta cost me over $12,000. That was some aftermarkets, but it's $11,000 before you do anything to the bike. That's just basically to buy it. And that leads me into some other things. I don't like the plastic on these bikes. These radiator shrouds, okay, all the graphic plastics, they look great. I love the design and the look of the bike, but this stuff is brittle. I tipped this thing over. It's in one of my prior videos. I'll try and put it in a card up there. But it just basically tipped over from a stop. I stalled the bike, perched up on a rock, and I fell over, and this thing broke. Just cracked all the way down the side here. I hate that. I hate how brittle this stuff is. I feel like it should be more flexible, should handle some falling. So yeah, I don't like the plastic. I don't like how brittle it is, how easily it breaks. Yeah, you can replace it, but gosh, it's like $200. I don't have that kind of money just to replace things every time I tip this bike over. So it's showing some nicks and dings. I don't know if you can see it up there. You can see where I dropped it and stuff, which is okay. It's not going to remain pristine showroom quality forever, and I know that. I bought it to use it, but I wish the plastics were more flexible. I also wish that the graphics on the plastic were not just vinyl glue-on, sticky-on things, or stickers over the top of the plastic. I wish they were molded and part of the plastic, because they peel off. You stand up and you grip this thing with your knees, and it peels off. It doesn't take that long before your plastics and your graphics and all those pretty things that you liked about your beta when it was new aren't looking so hot. Man, this guy's making all kinds of dust, and he's not slowing down for me either. Oh, he's going to turn, that's why. So yeah, those are the things I don't like about the plastic. Another thing that I absolutely hate about the stock bike, the original bike, is this seat. Oh my gosh, you might as well stick a block of wood on there. It's so hard, so uncomfortable, so narrow. If you're trying to dual sport on a stock seat, do much highway miles, trying to get someplace, oh my goodness. I rode out to Rainbow Falls from my house when I first got the bike, had the stock seat on it. It takes about a little over an hour and 10 minutes or so, hour and 20 minutes to get there. By the time I got to the trails at Rainbow Falls, my butt was so sore that I really didn't even feel like going for a ride. I just wanted to go home. It was terrible. It's a terrible seat. Now, some people say, oh, I get used to it. Your butt will get used to it. You'll toughen up. And that's probably true. but I'm in my 50s. I don't want to do that. I want it to be comfortable. So I bought a replacement seat, as I've told you before. I have the Seat Concepts Comfort XL on this thing, and it's night and day difference. It's so much better, so much improved. But I like the one push button seat removal. That's nice and easy access to your battery compartment. Get underneath your seat. That's nice. I like that. No tools needed to get in there. Another thing about these bikes that I do not like is I do not like the mirrors. You can see one over here. They're these plastic foldable things, and I like the foldability of it. It's nice to be able to push it out of the way like that. But they're plastic. The threads right here, if you can see that, where it screws onto this bolt, is plastic. So I already busted this one. I stripped out the threads on that. So I cannot put the right-handed mirror on the bike and have it be tight unless I pour a bunch of epoxy up inside of it or something, you know, glue it in place. That's a stupid thing. I don't like that. I love how they're foldable, but they're chintzy plastic, break easy, strip easy. I don't like that. Another thing I don't like about these betas, and I'll be honest, it's been really a non-issue so far, but I do wish they came with a bigger gas tank. Now, that is one thing the beta has changed. The 2021 model year comes with a 2.4 gallon tank. They used to be 2.1 or something, so they added a little bit. Now, I get they're trying to keep it narrow and keep the weight down. I understand all that. But it is still, after all, even though it's a trail bike, trail worthy, it's still a dual sport. There's still going to be a lot of times where the owners are going to ride it from their house and go on a dual sport ride. And they're going to log a fair bit of miles in a day. I wish it had a longer range. These things don't get great mileage. That's kind of the trade-off you have with a high performance engine. I wish that these bikes came stock with a 3-gallon gas tank. Fairface, I think, has got like a 4.5 or 5. I mean, he's got a great big gas tank on his. I know the Meeker Extreme likes to put great big gas tanks on his. I don't have the money to buy the tanks. I don't have the mechanical know-how to install it, and I don't have the money to take it into their dealership and have them put it on for me. It's just not a reachable thing for me, and I can't imagine that I'm the only one in the world that can't afford to do that. So I wish that Beta would just send these things with a 3-gallon gas tank. I think that's a good sweet spot. That would get you another ½ gallon. I realize it would make them heavier and a little bit wider, but I don't care. I think that would be good. Another item about this bike that I don't like and that I wish was different is I wish the handlebars were higher. Now I know that's nitpicking because everybody's built different. I'm 6'1", but my legs are short. Most of my height is from the waist up. I'm short-legged. I've got a 32-inch inseam, and I know a lot of people that are a few inches shorter than me that actually wear the same length pants. So I sit tall, especially if I sit up straight and don't slouch like I do a lot. Well, seating wise, when I'm sitting down like this, the handlebars are okay, but for me to stand up, I have to lean, I have to crouch quite a bit. I have watched other videos. There's a guy that I watch in Idaho who's a racer. He's an excellent rider. He's 100 times better than I've ever dreamed of being. Well, that's not true. I've dreamed of being as good as he is. But he's 100 times better than I've ever been at my very, very best. But when he stands up and he's riding single track, I watched him. He gets some drone footage of him riding, and he's standing pretty straight. His arms are comfortable on the handlebars, and his back is fairly straight. I can't do that with this. I have to bend over, and it puts a lot of weight over the front tire. So I have to really be conscious of me crouching back and it tears up my thighs after a while, and it's hard to maintain for me. And I wish, and I know I could put risers on and all that stuff, but I just wish that I didn't have to, because I can't afford it right now. So I just wish that those handlebars were a little higher. I also don't like the fuel economy. I mentioned that earlier. I wish it got better mileage. That's not a deal breaker for me, but it is something that you should be aware of if you're considering one of these. Is these things do not get great gas mileage. I wish that was better. Look at these rocks. Ah, so cool looking. But I don't like the fuel economy. That's a problem. Wish it was better. I get that's kind of the price you pay when you have a high performance motor like this. It puts out this much torque and horsepower for only 480 cc's. But I wish it was better. Give me another 10 miles per gallon. I'd be so happy. I should add the muffler onto something else that I like about this bike. I love the way it sounds. It is a bit loud. I feel a little self-conscious when I'm riding through neighborhoods because it is pretty noisy, but it's not too bad. Sounds like an angry lion. I like that. Another thing I do not like about this bike, and I'm getting nitpicky again, I don't like the license plate holder. Where the screw holes are placed to mount your license plate don't fit the size of motorcycle license plates that we get here in Colorado. And I have to hang it sideways, and I got zip ties on it, and it's annoying. I don't like that. But, you know, what are you going to do, right? So guys, that is pretty much my list of things I do not like about this bike. Now, a couple little minor thoughts that are neither a like or a dislike. The 500 is 2 pounds heavier on a scale than a 390. So for all intents and purposes, they are virtually the same in weight, virtually the same in every way, shape, and form, except for the displacement. But I can say, like I mentioned earlier, that on the trails, tight stuff, the 390 feels a little easier to maneuver, a little less work to ride. It's a little easier, I felt like. But it's a small amount. It's enough to feel, but it's not like this night and day difference. I think I really only felt it because I was able to ride both of them back to back on the same day on the same trail system. So if you are kind of debating on what motor to get, it depends on how you're going to use it. And that brings me to my conclusion for my 1-year review on the 2021 Beta 500 RRS. Is would I do it all over again knowing what I know now? And I'm hesitating because I'm thinking. I'm going to say no. And let me explain. If I were to start over with the process of buying a Beta again, knowing what I know now, I would get the 390. It has enough power for what I would do with it, and it has all the other features that this one has. And it's, like I said, slightly easier to maneuver on the trails, a little less aggressive on the throttle, so you have a smaller risk of whiskey throttle problems. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean that I'm unhappy with my 500 or I want to sell it and trade it in for 390. No, my preference for the 390 is not so much higher that I feel the need to trade them out. And again, let me clarify. If you're looking to do some major dual sporting and you don't want a heavy bike, and even though I think it's playing against the strengths of the machine to load this thing up with saddlebags and, you know, do moto camping or whatever, and you're going to do some highway mileage, and you're going to have pavement sections that are going to be 50 miles an hour, 60, 65, that sort of stuff, then I would get the 500. But if you're going to use it like I use mine, where you stick it in the back of your pickup truck and you haul it to an offloading place and you go out and you ride places like this, ATV trails, side-by-side trails, things like that. Most of the traveling is done in your truck, hauling the bike, then I would get the 390. And because that's how I use this, that's what I would do if I were to start over now. And initially in the beginning, I didn't get the 390. I was trying to do all kinds of research, but the pandemic ruined everything for me in that regard. Beta canceled all of their demo ride days. So I was not able to test ride those things and get a feel for them. If I'd have been able to ride at a demo day, the 390 and the 500 and the 430 for that matter, I could have made a good decision. But I opted for the 500 because I was not able to ride them. And I had troubles with my KLR 650, always feeling underpowered. I always wanted more power with that bike. I always felt like it was sluggish and slow for a 650. And so I thought, you know, I'll almost never wish I had less power, but I'm more likely to wish I had more. So I went for the big one. Plus, I'm a bigger guy. I didn't want to crush the bike, overpower the motor, whatever, weigh it down too much. So that was the thought process that went into this. So I hope that all makes sense to you guys. Appreciate you sticking around to the end. I love my Beta, even though it was expensive. Overall, I love these machines. Mine has been super reliable. And when I want it to, it will get up and go. And it does everything I ask it to do. So anyways, guys, I will catch you on the next adventure, which is probably going to be today, because it's still early in the day. I got some more riding I want to do.